Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool pinball repair video today. We have been working on this Data East, the Simpsons pinball machine. And we did some work in the back box, did a video on that. And we did some work basically working on lights and things like that. And the speaker and the kickback over here. But now we're to the point where we're ready to start taking it apart, fixing up the Playfield, and cleaning everything up, get it looking a little better. So that's what we're going to do in this video. We're right here in the window, so you can't see it that great, but if I turn up the brightness, you can get a good idea of what it looks like before we mess with it. So this is how we received it. It has the authentic Data East speaker hum that drives some people crazy, and people like me don't mind. There's not much you can do about that. There's about 20 different things that people say fix theirs, but whenever you try it, none of them work. So there's a bunch of people that say, oh, well, I don't put the screws in the soundboard and it fixed mine. And then you'll have 20 people reply and say, yep, tried that, didn't work. And then some people will say, oh, I put in new speakers and it fixed mine. And then other people say, well, I tried that, didn't work. So it's just a Data East thing. A lot of the Data East do that. Some kind of ground loop somewhere. Apparently no one has ever figured it out. But this is what the Playfield looks like. We're going to start taking stuff off of it so we can get down to the bare wood, do the touch-ups, and then start putting it back together. Now, some of the... I was going to show you something. Oh yeah, the rubber rings. The rubber rings are yellow ones. We're just going to put the standard white ones back on it. We're not going to go crazy with it. Oop. See how dirty some of it is, too. And we have this one plastic broke down here. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that or not. I'm going to look. Looks like these have probably been replaced because they're a little lighter than the other ones. So this is what we're starting with. We'll take it all apart, clean it up, and then put it all back together. Little by little. Okay, folks, so this is how it cleaned up. Took everything off, wiped it down. Clean, 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 clean. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better than it was. And we're about ready to do some touch-ups. So that's what we're starting with. Okay, so the first thing I do whenever I do touch-ups, let me turn off the lights so you can see the art a little better. First thing I do whenever I do touch-ups is I draw the lines back in that are missing with an acrylic paint pen. Now you don't want to draw in everything on the playfield everywhere, because then you have to clear coat the whole playfield, which there's a bunch of stuff on the playfield, so I can't clear coat it all. I'll get overspray on everything. So we're trying to, just do little areas wherever the worst wear is. So the worst wear is right here between the flippers, here on the right ball drop, here on the left ball drop, up here at the ramp, and over here I believe there's another ball drop. So we're gonna touch up all that stuff. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna take just a acrylic paint pen in those 5 areas and re-ink the lines in to make it. We're basically making it a paint by numbers set. We're trying to make it where it's easier to draw the art back in. And this is just how I do it. Other people can do it different ways. Some people say, well, the black should be last. Well, we do the black again whenever we're done. So we kind of do it at the beginning, though, just so that we know where to paint which color and all of that. So I'll set up the tripod so you can see me doing it a little bit. I basically just look at pictures of it online, how it's supposed to look, and just freehand it back in. You can use a stencil or something if you want it to get perfect, but I'm not really capable of making it perfect, so I just do the best I can, and we go from there. Most people, they're not going to be able to tell that you did anything. So, like, look at Bart here. Have you ever seen Bart in that pose? No, it's completely unique, right? Look at Milhouse here. See how they look right, but it's different poses that you don't always see them in. So if something's a little bit off, it's not the end of the world. Like Bart and Homer, right? But we're going to do the best we can, obviously. Okay, so I'll set up the camera and we'll draw a little bit of it. Okay, folks, so we got it inked in, and now we're going to paint it. The paint is coming. So we did just a little bit of ink down here to just kind of define the line art that was missing. We drew the book back in. It's pretty similar to how it looked on the one I saw online. The Thunderbolt, I looked at about 10 different pictures. Best I could tell, it goes straight, which makes sense because if you look, it continues past the little green thing. So I think that's correct. The Whitewater Rapids, apparently this is a heavily worn area on a bunch of them, but it seemed like that was about how the top part was there, where the white and the blue stump. And then good old Mo, everybody knows what he looks. I think we got it pretty good. Might not be perfect, but I think we'll be able to tell that's Mo. So, we are now ready to put some color on it. So I think the first one I'm going to try is this light blue behind Bart here. You see there's a little bit down there on him that's missing. And then it's also the color of the book and the two arrows there that need it on the left. It's also the color of the rapids here. And then it's also the color of Mo's shirt and the counter behind him. So just getting that one color in will make it look a lot better. You'll figure out too, whenever you do these, that since they silk screened most of them, there's not really a ton of colors. This one's pretty colorful, but there might be 10 or 12 colors. There's not a ton of them. So whenever you find a color in one place, it usually is in a bunch of other places too. Like if you just kind of look, you can see there's light blue here and there all over the place. But then if you look for the yellow, you see the Simpsons and the TV, all the yellow is the same. So, okay, folks, some people came in. So the way that we do it is we get a bunch of craft paints. These are all acrylic. Now, the pen I used was acrylic, and the craft paints are acrylic. The reason you want to use acrylic is because it's easy to clear coat, it's easy to clean up. You can use like oil-based paints, but they're harder to clean up if you have a mistake where you paint the wrong thing or you need to clean it off. With these, you can literally just wipe it off or use water and wipe it off. But on the oil-based paints, you don't have that luxury. And then sometimes too, it just, for me, I've had problems where oil-based stuff isn't always what you think it is. So sometimes it'll say enamel and it's just got weird stuff in it, and whenever you clear it, it'll run. So for instance, like a Sharpie pen, people will use a Sharpie pen to do the ink. When you spray the clear on it, that will make a Sharpie run, and it just ruins whatever you just did. So you don't want to do that. So you use acrylic paints. It's like a big craft job. You're basically like a craft project. You're just trying to paint the colors back in. Now I'll show you a couple things here in a second. When a playfield is this busy, like look at all this that's going on this, and then you saw all the stuff piled on top of it and everything. Most people aren't even going to notice most of the wear. We had to do this one because the out lanes were bad, the in lanes were bad, and you know, everybody loves Mo. You don't want him to be all screwed up. And then there was some right here between the flippers, so you kind of have to do it, or we felt like we had to do it, but you don't have to go crazy with it because no one's going to notice little specific things unless they really spend a lot of time looking at it. Most people that walk up to it and play it, they're not going to notice. So we buy all of these craft paints. I've got an entire box of them, just all different colors. They're like $1 a piece at Michael's. If you're trying to get started doing some stuff like this, if you go on our website, go to lionsarcade.com, we've got a parts page on there, and we have links to certain things on Amazon, like the acrylic paint pens, some clear coat that we use, a little starter set of this craft paint. You can go check that out if you want. And if you click any of those links to Amazon, whenever you get to Amazon, if you buy anything on there, we get a little bit of a tip. So we appreciate that. Everybody that's been doing that, it's been jumping up a lot lately, actually. So thank you to everybody that's been doing that. So we just go through and we try to get one that's a pretty dead match just right out of the bottle. That's the easiest. But you can mix them together and get the right color. So the way we do it is we just take, basically, the paint dries darker than when you paint it on. So when you look at it through the bottle, it's a little lighter than it actually is. So you're basically just trying to get the hue right and then match it from there. So for instance, we can match to Maggie here. She's the right color, right? See how it's too purple? You just have to get an eye for that. See how this looks more purple than blue? Some people are real good at that. Some people aren't very good at it. So it's nothing like it, but it's a little closer to Marge's hair, but still not quite right either. Okay. This is aquamarine. See, it's way too vivid. This is neon blue. I've used this before and it's really... So that's probably not good for this. Then we have this, way too dark. True blue matches a bunch of stuff usually, but it's still too dark. So you might take this true blue and mix a little, just a little bit of white in it, or a lighter blue, to try to get it to lighten up a little bit and be more like Marge's hair. That kind of looks similar, you know. Too purple again. Oh, I was... Okay, so this one's interesting. Too green, right? It's too green. And this one is Bahama Blue. Still too green. See how it just makes Maggie look much bluer? Much more blue. And then we have Calypso Blue. Too dark. But what about Blue Hawaii? Can't turn it over upside down because the lid's off. Pretty close, right? So is that close enough? So since the paint dries a little bit darker than what you put it on, you want one that is a little bit lighter, you know. But if you're going to make the color either too light or too dark, if you can't get it perfect, you don't really want to leave it if it's too light, because you can always see it. But if it's too dark, you don't always notice it. Like, for instance, when those people were in here, I went ahead and repainted that, and you didn't notice it. And I repainted the book, and you didn't notice it. And I repainted a little bit of those blue arrows there. You can see that a little bit. And I repainted the whitewater thing, right? So since it's real busy, you don't really notice it. And if it dries a little bit darker than the color that it's supposed to be, you don't really notice it. If it's lighter, your eye catches it more, because you just notice it. Oh, that doesn't look quite right. But if it's a little bit darker, it just matches some of the wear and stuff that's on the Playfield already. So I'll finish up Moe's arm. It needs the same blue. Okay, so Mo's coming along. He's getting there. Next up, I'm going to do the red, I think. Whenever you're doing red and yellow, they don't cover all that great. So if you've got big spots of red or yellow to do, I've been messing around with and testing priming it first. So like there was a big bunch of red that missing there, so I painted it white. And then the red tends to cover the white much better and look about like it's supposed to. But if you do it just over bare wood, it takes a whole bunch of coats. So if you got a big spot that needs to be painted red, you're better off painting it white first and then doing it. So I got the red there. There's a little bit of it down here to do, a little bit of it over here to do, but it's getting there. Coming right along. Oh, I put the, whenever I had the white, I also put the white in the waterfall there. When you do white, most things are not actually white. So this is white. This Playfield is not very white. It's actually more yellow, like more brown. So I use light buttermilk a lot. It's a better match than white. If you put white, it looks real bright. Doesn't look right. If you put light buttermilk, it might be a little bit too brown, just slightly, but it's closer than white. You can get warm white, cool white, all kinds of different stuff. But you're looking for something that's more, like I know looking at that, you're like, oh come on, it's almond. It's not. It's light buttermilk, people, and it's a hell of a lot closer to what's on the Playfield than this is. So the books of the pages of the book, that's buttermilk. That's light buttermilk. It looks like they're white as heck, but they're not. That's light buttermilk. It's just, it works better. What do you think, Joe? Which color should it be?
Buttermilk.
See, Joe knows. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can find anything that's a good match for the red, and we'll get on that. Okay, folks, so we're down to working on the purple on Bart. You can see down in the bottom left corner there, I did it a little bit. Basically, I didn't have a good match out of the can. This one was too light. This one was too dark. So by mixing them together, I got kind of an in-between, but it was too vivid. It's like too purple. So if you ever have that problem, you can, they call it knocking it down. You can knock the color down to basically make it more dull by putting the opposite color on the color wheel on it. So the opposite of purple is yellow. So I've mixed in a little bit of Simpsons yellow, and it did knock it down. It made it a little more gray. So now I'm sitting here waiting on it to dry to see if it's close enough. Looks like it's going to be pretty good. Did the red. Did the Simpsons yellow. Light blue. So now we're on to green. This looks like this might be pretty freaking close, man. I think I might be pretty good right out of the can, man. So it's just the same old, like I said, once you get the lines drawn in, you're basically making it a paint by numbers. And Mo agrees. I think that came out pretty decent. Not bad. But if you want to nitpick it, like the yellow in his arm's not quite the right color. And his apron's just slightly too light, but I painted the whole thing instead of just the part that was messed up. And then I re-inked the letters, but they're not perfect, you know, so it could be a little better, but it's pretty good. Okay, folks, all great masterpieces are never finished, only abandoned. Ain't that right, Joe?
That's right.
So this is good as far as we're going to go. So here's how Bart turned out. What do you think, Joe?
Looks good.
It's not perfect. No, it's not horrible. I think it looks pretty good. So that was one major area of repair. And then we had the left lane over here and the kicker lane. What do you think, Joe?
Looks great.
Joe said he couldn't even tell what we did.
Couldn't even tell the book hardly.
I think it looks pretty good, and I'm happy with it.
I think Mo turned out the best.
We're getting to Mo. Mo's coming up.
You get to Mo.
And then we did this. See, the text I'm not that great at because I don't have a pen that's thin enough. The paint, it's too thick, so it's hard to write thin. So the text isn't perfect, but looks pretty close, people. I like it. We redid this, too, while we were at it. The little yellow ring there. It was pretty rough. That one they had Sharpied to death. So I painted a little yellow circle back on it. So that now we're up to 3, 4, 5 places. The Whirlpool, the Whitewater Falls, it came out pretty good. And then Mo. Joey likes Mo the best. What do you think, Joe? Think Mo came out pretty decent?
Yep. That's great.
Mo is wearing a pink apron. I thought that was pretty cool. It matches the pink donut up here. I guess they didn't want to use purple because his tie is purple and his hair's gray. So I guess they were like, let's do pink. All right, so I'm going to clear coat it. Now, people always ask us how we clear coat it. I literally just spray paint it with spray paint clear coat, and I just do the area that we touched up. So I'm just going to lightly paint it, and then we'll let it dry. I use satin clear coat, literally just rattle can clear coat. You mask off whatever you don't want to get paint on as best you can, and then just try to keep it in a certain area and run with it. No need to get too special with it. Unless you're going to do a real high-end job, take every little thing off, and you have an automotive paint booth and all that. We don't take it that far, people. We just touch it up a little bit, get it where it looks good, spray paint it. I think it looks a heck of a lot better than it did when we started. This was the main reason that I did it, because there was a pretty big bunch of stuff missing there. And this side was pretty bad, too, so I kind of felt like I had to. And then Mo, we hated to see Mo be all beat up. He's had enough problems in his life, you know, he ain't doing too good anyway. Look, they're prank calling him and everything. Okay, so I'm going to clear coat a little bit, we'll let it dry, and then we'll start putting it back together. And I'm not going to clear coat the whole thing, just the areas that we repainted. So since we've cleaned it, on the Data East games, whenever you go into the service menu, it tells you how to call Data East, which then became Sega, which now is Stern. But it tells you, press start for service credits. Tech alert. Please clean my playfield. And there's a bad switch. See which switch it says. Right bank number 5. Right bank 5. We'll figure that out. But there's a thing here to reset that. Somewhere. Okay, we're going into the other one. The audits. Adjustments. Game cleaned. Yes. The game has been cleaned. Okay. So now when it boots up, the green light is no longer coming on. That's the one that informs the operator that it needs to be cleaned. The red one, though, is that tech alert about the switch. I only did that for a little while, those two lights. All right, so let's see let's check out the switch and see if we can figure that out. So what it's complaining about is this switch, and if you look with the drop targets up, this switch is closed. See how when I touch the small blade, the big blade back there is moving? It's actually closed all the time. This one is just barely open. So basically we need to bend that just slightly to where it's not closed yet. A little bit too tight. There we go. So now it's got a little bit of play in it before it hits the other one. So we'll start it. We'll go through again and check it, make sure that that has fixed it. So now when we go in, it says tech alert, all okay. And while we were cleaning it, we found 2 more flashers back there that we replaced, so we're going to check those. All of our lamps are working still. Everything looks good. All the flashers. Actually, no, Joe, I don't see them working. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I do. There's one there. And then there's one here. They're working. That's all of them. All the flashers doing their thing. Very cool. All right. So we got just a couple things left on the Playfield, and then I'll show you how it all turned out. So we got the apron back on. We had to fix the kicker. Got it fixed. Got the apron back on. New instruction cards. Right. A new plastic that was chipped here. Right. You can buy those new online. Everything nice and clean. Little stuff like this post was inside the game. We figured that out. You can see the habit trail came out good. Joey repainted that yellow. This was cracked. We were able to glue it back, and it's, you can't tell too much. But that's the type of thing where you can get those, but you have to buy a whole new set. It's $180. Nah. And we put the trim back on to catch the glass in the back. So there's Mo down there. I think that came out pretty good. You might not even be able to tell that we repainted it. Unless I told you. Shh, don't tell anybody. There's the whitewater thing. You might not know that that's been touched up unless I told you. There's the books. You might not know that that's been touched up unless I told you. And there's the lightning bolt. You might not be able to tell that that's been touched up unless I told you. Was there another one? Oh yeah, behind the drop targets there we painted some of it. But I think all in all, oh yeah, the kick out hole there. I think that looks pretty good. What a good looking game. Very cool. So there you go, folks. So, you know, the only thing that's left now to do is play it. So we're going to film a video kind of showing off the rule set, playing it a little bit. See what all this thing can do. What a cool game. It's one of those games that doesn't get the respect that it deserves. We should respect all of the games, people. Some people just don't like it. Those people don't know what they're talking about. Alright, so leave your comments below. Let us know what you think so far. Give us a thumbs up. Well, so far as in we're done. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. And we'll do another video of actually playing it so we can have a whole video just on playing the thing. Put some time in on it. Make sure to check out my brother Donnie. If you don't know about that, there's a channel here on YouTube that you've been missing out on. It's called the My Brother Donnie channel. It literally is my brother Donnie. And now if you like us working on these, like watching us work on these old arcade games, you may like watching us work on old buildings. We have some buildings that we bought in a small town near here that we're fixing up, trying to help revitalize the downtown area of that town. So go check that out. And we'd also like to thank everybody that's been using our Amazon links. There are links down below to Amazon. If you're going to go buy anything on Amazon, click our link first, and it will give us a piece of the profit. So thank you for that. And you can check out our website. Go to lionsarcade.com. We have all of our games for sale and everything on there. We also have a parts page showing off some of the stuff that we use whenever we do repairs, and also some of our t-shirts and things like that if you want to see that. So go check it out. The Simpsons. We'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed it.